It's time for the KickAround, the Ticket's weekly show all about soccer. 2 hours of HSOs on the clubs, leagues, and tournaments of the world's game. It doesn't matter if you're new to the sport, don't worry. This is the Ticket. We're just kicking it around. Now, here's two guys hoping for short shorts to come back in style. Andy Swift and Peter Welpton.
Cherky plays it in. Haaland's headed down. Mbeumo. It's 3-on-2. Semenyo's trying hard to get back. It's Brian Mbeumo at the Stretford end. Manchester United lead in the derby.
I can see clearly now. Howdy ho, P1s. Welcome to the KickAround. Saturdays, whenever they'll have us, here on Sports Radio 96.7 and 1310 The Ticket. You, the good P1, sits around, talks soccer, and all that implies. Hello, I am the happy one, Peter. And to my left, but to your right, as you stare lovingly and with great admiration and curiosity into your broadcast box or streaming device, it is the world's most interesting man without a hat today. It's Andy Swift.
Peter, was that the loudest howdy ho you've shared with us in like years?
It's a glorious
pep
day.
in your step.
It's a glorious day.
Happy. You were kind and nice to others, which I haven't seen in a while.
What does that mean? Da-da-da-da-da-da!
I don't know. Why don't you ask others and they'll let you know what that means. But congrats.
Man. So this is the sound I made when that goal was scored. That was pretty
As
much
you
it.
should have. That was, we'll talk about it, but that was quite the win for your boys.
So I almost didn't pull that as the goal call. What I wanted originally, have you seen the Dembele goal for PSG this week
I have
that he
not.
scored the other day?
Mm-mm.
Dude, it may win the Puskas this year. If
Okay.
not, it's at least the nominee.
Puskas being the goal of the year.
Goal of the year globally, like the whole
Correct.
world.
Yeah.
He dribbles into the top of the box and has the line, like essentially the defensive line coming at him, and he sees the goalkeeper come to the top of the six. He puts his foot on top of the ball, rolls it back to the top of the 18, and then chips both the defensive line and the goalkeeper and drops it in the goal.
Nice. I got to look it up.
It is unbelievable.
Can I find it on YouTube?
Yes, I'll show it to
Okay.
you. But it was only in French, and it didn't make any sense, and it wasn't a good goal
What do
opener.
you have against French play-by-play announcers?
For a goal opener,
What do you
it just
have
didn't make
against France
sense.
or
And
French?
plus, this was better.
Because it was your team. You should have played that goal call, though. It was an outstanding one. I'm surprised you didn't play your boss's last at the death
I didn't
goal.
have time.
Okay.
This starting at noon thing is such a
Okay.
goof in trying to prep for the show,
We're
especially
talking
with all
about-
the games. Yeah.
Yeah, West Ham, yeah.
West Ham. Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. Yes, it is a big day here on the show. We get the bonus segment once again because we're doing 12 to 2:30 before NFL playoffs. Andy's got to run and watch and see if his Broncos can survive
Mhm.
the pressure of being the home team in the NFL playoffs. We'll see how that goes. But as a giant bonus for you, the P1s, live from Norway will be Lars Sivertsen joining us for several segments to catch up in the day in the Premier League.
It's been a while, so we need a lot from Lars today.
That's true. Lars did a show with me when you were out.
Okay. Show off.
But yes, Lars.
You do hop on his European thing, don't you, every once in a
Yeah,
while?
I do his podcast,
Yeah.
The Lars Resort. It's very serious. It's very political.
Oh.
Yeah, it's very
What do you
formal.
do?
I talk politics. You know?
I would need to listen to that.
Yes, we're having an ongoing debate about Greenland right now.
Oh, God.
So we're going to do that, and then we're going to do a letter from a listener today. We haven't done letters from listeners in a while, but we got a letter with a question that I thought was of interest to you, the P1s, so we'll do
Cue
that.
the letter from listener music then, right?
Yes, and we'll also do World Cup Nerd. But first, let's get into the most important of all the segments. AFCON is in its final moments. The final will take place between Morocco and Senegal. But we already have controversy.
If it's what I think it is, it's very mild controversy.
So the Senegalese have filed several complaints. Now remember, the tournament is in Morocco.
Yeah.
Morocco is in the final, and the Senegalese are complaining, one, that the Moroccans have failed to provide them the adequate amount of security as they took a train from whatever Tangier. I think they were in Tangiers, and they took a train to Rabat, where the final is being held.
Is that a long train ride?
I don't know.
Okay.
Is it? You tell me. You're the man of the world.
No, no.
Is it not?
No.
They're also claiming that they had to file a formal complaint to get adequate hotel accommodations. And they're also saying there are issues with the training facilities and fair ticket allocation for the supporters. AFCON has always got the most wild-ass stuff going on.
They do. They were. I thought you were going to say that the coach, and this is what happened. The coach was complaining that they didn't have enough rest days. No, that was the Egyptian coach when they played Senegal. That Senegal had an extra rest day, and that's typical of World Cups. Depending on where you fall in the knockout round.
There's really no way around that, is there?
No.
My favorite thing from the AFCON this year was the fan from Congo. Have you seen the guy from the Congolese fans who would stand at attention in this very formal kind of pretty suit?
Yeah, and
he would just stand there at
like
attention.
a statue. Yeah.
I read a story that the president of Congo gave him a free car.
Oh, for bringing attention to
for being such a good supporter of the national team, he bought him a car.
Nice, man.
So
nice car.
If I don't remember what it said. Now that made me wonder: would Trump give
you
a fan, an American like Sam's Army person that shows up in his Uncle Sam / Alexi Lawless uniform, Santa Claus hat, for all the U.S. games? Would Trump give that person a car?
I don't know. It'd be a lot of cars because there's
just
several
one
that do that.
Well, maybe he would just pick one that just repeatedly got on TV.
Yeah.
Would Trump give that fan a car?
Or maybe a visit to the White House.
Or a medal.
Or a medal.
That he has an extra one of hanging around. So, anyway, AFCON, the finals happening.
I don't know if you remember, Trump did hand out the trophy at the Club World Cup final.
Oh, that's...
Yeah, so he may just hand out the FIFA trophy at the World Cup final.
There is we don't know. Zero doubt that our president will be on the stage when the World Cup trophy is handed to somebody in July.
They made a big deal out of all that, but a long time ago, that's how it was.
Yeah, that's true.
Heads of state were involved in handing out the trophy. Hey, real quick, before we get away from AFCON, Senegal, Egypt. Do you know the drama there that Senegal beat Egypt yet again, and Salah lost yet again?
To Mane, Mane scored. I did not see the game, but everything I heard was that it was a terrible, terrible game.
Yeah.
And Egypt was incredibly negative in how they played the game. Yeah.
Anyway, it's three straight.
Which is crazy considering you've got Mohamed Salah and Marmoush playing up top.
I know, up front. They just weren't getting the ball.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
You got guys that can score. Give them the ball.
Yeah.
Now, Andy, are you up to speed on the drama surrounding one American player, Josh Sargent?
I am. I am completely up to speed with that.
There is a lot of news pertaining Josh and Norwich and his desire to be sold to Toronto FC so he can come play in Major League Soccer. But I have to admit that the main thing out of this that I am most distracted by, that Josh, who I think is 25 years old, now has 4 children under the age of 5 years old.
That's rapid fire production for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. So he wants to
4 children as non-parents.
Yeah, well, somebody's got to even things up, right?
That's who's populating the earth, since Andy and I refuse to do it.
So he, this is the issue. He wants to go or come to MLS and go to Toronto, and Toronto's interested, and I think Toronto's offered $20 million.
18 million that could get up to 20 million with bonuses.
And Norwich has said, well, no, maybe not. No,
we need you.
Yeah, we want you. We need you. And he's refused. He's been an attitude, right? And it's not that he's refused to play. But he said he wants out.
No. The big thing, the big drama was that they had an FA Cup game against Walsall, and he texted the manager and said, "I'm not playing."
Yeah, I'm not mentally there.
Yeah, I'm not mentally there because I'm all tied up about this transfer that I want that you guys won't give me. And so he, unlike Antoine Semenyo, who played 2 Bournemouth games before his purchase, Josh Sargent, of all people, decided, no, I'm just going to stay home.
Yeah, which is not the right thing to do. But what people don't know, or some people don't know, is that Norwich was offered like 24 to 28 million for him this past summer, and he said no.
He being Josh.
Yeah, the 2 clubs had agreed.
Why?
He didn't want to move. He wanted to stay in England.
But now he wants to move.
Now he wants to move, and Norwich is getting a lot less than they were originally offered last summer. And he's also said, only Toronto. Only Toronto.
Well, I think Toronto's the only MLS team that's in for him. I think what he's trying to avoid is them selling him, being sold to somewhere else other than North America.
But he's trying to call where he wants to go for a lot less. So
sorry, Josh.
Yeah, I don't know if that.
The American Carrot can't call his shot like that quite yet. So we'll see what happens. I mean, he's obviously trying to figure out how he keeps his spot on the national team leading into the World Cup. He hasn't been called up in a bit, so who knows how that'll all play out. But yeah, it's not a good look when you bail out on your team, who, by the way, are in a relegation battle in the championship.
Yeah.
So, all right. The other thing before we go is last week, U.S. Soccer finally got around to telling everybody how they're going to allocate the tickets that FIFA has divvied off for U.S. Soccer to give to people who are part of the U.S. Soccer fan base. Now, Andy, FIFA takes tickets, allocates tickets for every federation that are playing in the World Cup, and it's a small percentage, et cetera, but then they leave it up to that federation to decide how they want to distribute them or sell them.
And these are low-price tickets too, right?
They start at low price, but they go up to the high price.
Okay.
And how they want to allocate those to the fan base. And most of them will base it on fans who are members of the fan club or the supporters division or group or whatever for that particular national team. Well, U.S. Soccer, have you read through?
I have not. I was waiting for you to kind of explain it to me.
So I didn't know this.
Because it's complicated.
Do you know that there are different paid tiers in U.S. Soccer for being a fan? I didn't know this.
No.
Like, I thought you just filled out a goofy form on the website and said, "I'm a fan. I'm a U.S. Yank fan."
I want the newsletter and
the so
pennant.
Apparently, if you paid $45, so apparently what they've done is they've taken everybody's name and they've given you an entry based on what tier of supporter you are, which is based on how much money you've given the federation as a member.
Okay.
So they've got like a $45 tier.
It's like a fan club, and you pay
an $85
tier.
Yeah. They even have a $5,000 and $10,000 tier.
Wow.
And those people who have paid the federation $5,000 or $10,000, they're not even in the lottery. They're automatically going to be allocated tickets.
Hope so.
Everybody else is allocated a number of entries based on what tier of.
So it's a weighted lottery.
It's a weighted lottery. It's the whole thing, and they've only got so many tickets. But the problem is they're not being specific as to what ticket you may win in the lottery. You may win a $60 ticket. You may win a $485 ticket. And if you win, you're on the hook for whatever the price is.
This is U.S. Soccer.
This is
right?
U.S.
This
Soccer.
This is not FIFA. FIFA gave them the tickets.
This feels very FIFA, but this is actually how U.S. Soccer has decided to, because they've got a significant number of fans that are like, I can't afford a $600 ticket or a $500 ticket or whatever it is. So they're bailing out of the lottery because they don't want to get stuck on the hook for a ticket they can't afford.
Yeah. What do you get if you give the federation $5,000 a year as a fan? Like
free entry into
to the world. I mean, okay, but I mean that's
I don't know. Maybe you get better access.
I just wonder. I wonder
for,
what you get for your dues because you also pay for tickets when you go to matches, right?
Yeah, I would think you do. I mean, maybe there's like a meet and greet section or something, or access or something like that, or you get, they help you out with hotel accommodations or suites. The pen, right? Yes. It is pretty crazy. By the way, Andy, I just would like to point out, I think we have ticket non-disclosure.
Uh-oh.
I was reading in the Dallas Morning News just yesterday.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, look who was quoted along with Dan Hunt and other dignitaries around the soccer community, but our very own Andy Swift.
Did I say something stupid?
You were saying something about ticket allocations or something. I think they may have pulled a quote from something else where you were at a public appearance or something, and
a press conference
or something. Did you get interviewed by the Morning News?
Yeah, a while back. Yeah, when we were talking about, I don't know. There's been a few events and press conferences, but I probably said be careful if you don't go through the FIFA portal.
That's what it was. Yeah. It was the whole part about the fact that in the United States they can't, if you get a ticket. Mm-hmm. The law can't prevent you from trying to resell it on a StubHub or something that's not FIFA facing, but there's a whole bunch of problems that come with that.
Yeah, and I think some of those other ticket portals are selling tickets when they don't have tickets in hand yet. They're also in the lottery.
Right.
So, so you just have to be careful.
Has anybody explained, let's say I win a ticket. Let's say I actually get to purchase a ticket from FIFA for the Japan-Netherlands game. Mm-hmm. If I wanted to turn around and resell it, but not on the FIFA portal, but on StubHub, how would I even do that?
I do not know. And I don't know yet. We don't know what the mechanism will be for identifying you and your ticket, and if ID will be required, and how the transfer will work. Yeah. Transfers are going to be possible.
Yes.
But FIFA hasn't disclosed how that will work yet.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So just be careful is, I think, what we say.
There was a lot of drama. Certain people tried to start a story that there were not a big number of ticket draws, or people were bailing out of the ticket lottery process late in the game because that third round ended on Monday, I think it was. And then FIFA went into a whole PR campaign this week talking about 500 million requests for tickets, and this is the largest amount of ticket requests in the history of the World Cup, and the whole bit. So there's been a lot of that noise going on this week. In other words, don't worry, everybody. There's going to be plenty of people at the games and plenty of tickets sold before this is all said and done.
Have you gotten... we don't know. Like the third round, we don't know yet. So I put in. Did you?
So I have zero faith that I'm gonna.
Never know, man.
Tickets. All right, very good. There are your soccer headlines. When we come back, we're gonna get Lars on the line, and we'll talk about the Manchester Derby. Oh, what a day! Next year on the KickAround. Lots of drama surrounding Real Madrid of late, if anybody's been paying attention. We'll talk about that in about 30 minutes here on the KickAround. Welcome back. Me, Peter, that Andy, doing the 12 to 2:30 shift once again today. And live via the miracle of the internet.
Let me guess. Lars?
Your favorite Norwegian football journalist, Lars Sivertsen. Howdy, Lars.
Hey, we say the miracle of the internet with hope in our hearts because it has been slightly less miraculous than normal today so far. Just while waiting, the line has dropped a number of times. So, guys, just so you're aware, if I suddenly go very quiet, just take it on. I'll be back.
Okay, very good.
We're not used to Lars going very quiet. That would be...
Hey, very good. Love that, yeah. I'm blaming the weather. I'm in Norway at the moment, and it is cold.
Yeah, so Oslo Telecom is failing you or something like that?
Yeah, I'm blaming conditions. Yeah, it's snowy, dark, cold. It is quite miserable in Oslo now, I have to say. I mean,
is it?
In my sort of jet-setting life, this is not my favorite place in the world to call in from.
But it makes us sound so continental, Lars, to have somebody calling in from someplace like Norway.
Wasn't it better the time I was on a balcony in southern Spain overlooking the Mediterranean? I thought that was was better than this.
Yeah, that was pretty great. Yep. But we love the fact that you're jet setting. We think that's pretty
Hey,
good.
Lars, it's cold here too in Dallas, Fort Worth. It's 4 or 5 degrees Celsius. It's pretty cold, isn't it?
You even had There was an ad about what to do if your car gets hit by hail, which is not something that, I mean, us Norwegians, that's not how we imagine Texas, but I guess it's a thing.
I was kidding about the 4 or 5 degrees because it's what, -10 where you are now?
No.
Yep.
Yeah, just about, something like that.
Okay.
All right. All right, well, let me warm up everybody's hearts as the Manchester Derby took place today at the early game. And I just have to admit right off the bat, guys, I did not have United beating City and shutting them out. I don't know if City even had a shot on goal other than the one header in the first half, as United end up winning that game 2-0. Andy, you are the Manchester United hater of the group, so I'm going to let you go first with your observations of said giant victoire.
Yeah, but there's other teams to hate as well, and maybe City's ahead of United in the hate factor. So, no, I thought that was a fun game to watch because it was fun to watch City pretend they were United and United pretend they were City. I mean, it looked like the teams were wearing separate or opposite uniforms. I thought United, with the energy they showed, the enthusiasm for the game they showed was something we hadn't seen in a while. And I just wonder if the change in manager, and he just maybe told them, go out and have fun. It looked like they were having fun and enjoying who they were and aspiring to the talent that they have. It's a United we haven't seen in a while. I think you, who watches them all the time, would agree with that.
Yeah, it was quite remarkable to see this after what we've seen under Amorim. And there's a whole conversation to be had about if, in fact, this kind of form continues under Carrick, what that actually ends up telling us about Ruben Amorim as a manager. I think that will end up being an interesting conversation. I will say, before I go to Lars, I want to say this up front. It's weird to me how this entire game pivots on VAR's decision not to take a harder look at the Dalot tackle that I think most people thought should have been a red card. Because that game changes dramatically if we're 10 minutes into the game and United's playing a man down. But they didn't. United go on to win the game 2-0. Lars, you're happy for me, aren't you?
I am happy for you. And I thought the way this game played out was kind of interesting, just on the fact that the big drama around Manchester United over the last 14 days or so has been, will it be Carrick or will it be Ole? Will Ole be back at the wheel? You know, they both went up for this job. They both went for an interview. We heard through the Norwegian press that contracts were being negotiated, and from what's being suggested in the press, certainly is that Carrick was just a lot more convincing than poor Ole in the job interview. So from the Norwegian perspective, it's a very, very public snub of our golden boy. But the way this game played out, it reminded me of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's Manchester United. Because the players were back, they were back in positions that they understand. You know, Fernandes was back in an attacking midfield role. You were playing a back four again. Things seemed just kind of sensible. And I don't think Michael Carrick reinvented the wheel here. He set them up to counterattack, to exploit the spaces that City leave behind them, to play it forward very, very quickly when you get the ball. I think that's exactly what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would have done, and it's exactly what he used to do. And I'm not going to say I called this, but I was on British radio this morning, UK time, and I did say about this game that I have a feeling United can get something here, just for all the defensive absentees that City have, and the sort of enthusiasm that United will bring to this derby with a new coach and everything. So obviously really happy for you, but not as shocked as you seem to be.
Well, I first off, I think Michael Carrick has a giant sack just for the starting 11 that he put out there. Sitting Sesko, sitting Cunha, putting the two AFCON players back on the field immediately after returning from their international duty. I think the really beneficial call was having Harry Maguire back. I thought Harry Maguire did a tremendous job of organizing the back line. The Heaven Martinez combo has been really soft. Harry just brings a different level of experience in there. I thought he was great. I thought Casemiro was amazing today.
I know. Who was he?
It was unbelievable how good he was today. And I think he ended up winning a man of the match.
Oh, he did?
I think he did, yeah. He was really tremendous. It was a lot of fun. Mbeumo on the counterattack in the 65th minute, I was pretty excited by that whole thing.
I have a question for you guys. Speaking of Carrick, so does he have? I mean, would United, if he has a good run, Do they keep him? Do they go with it?
That's the big question. But I know. I think the reason why I think they have internally determined that they are waiting till the summer because there's going to be so many names of significance out on the marketplace.
But if they want somebody that doesn't want to be manager, right? That's the thing,
right?
Like that doesn't want
instead of head coach.
Yeah. I mean,
What do you think, Lars?
Well, they've made that mistake once before with all. I might as well make it again. Why not? New owners, the different people making the decisions. You might no harm in making the exact same mistake all over again.
Yeah.
No, I think it's an interesting question because I'm expecting Manchester United to make the Champions League. I think the way the league is set up, it's going to be it's going to be the top five. I think it's going to be the top five in the end. United are currently in 5th. They're 1 point ahead of Chelsea, who are in 6th, and they are the risk. I get Chelsea are there. There's a possibility of Villa drop away. As I've been saying all season, Chelsea are a work in progress. I'm not fully convinced by their new coach. I'd back United to get that 5th spot at least. And then that is mission accomplished for a guy who is a popular figure at the club, popular with the fans, probably going to be low maintenance compared to some of the names that are on the market. I think it wouldn't be a good decision, but I think it's going to be a very tempting decision.
Yeah, it will be. We've got so much of the season to go that there's a lot of things that can happen. Although United are playing only league games for the first time at this point of the season, meaning they're out of the FA Cup and the Leagues Cup for the first time this early since 1981-82. This is the least amount of games United will play in a season. I think it's 40 total in quite a long time. Generations, as a matter of fact.
# well rested.
Yes. Lars, I want to pivot real quickly to City. I was shocked at how disinterested the team appeared to be today. Erling Haaland barely touched the ball. It was a weird performance on their part. They have now not won in the last 4 games. They drew the 3 games coming into this. They lost this. Any kind of advancement they had made on Arsenal towards a title race really seems to have evaporated. And then the other thing is the fact that they, bought Antoine Semenyo, and now they're getting a center back, which they really, really need, in Mr. Guy from Crystal Palace. Where do you think all of this is headed with Pep and City?
Well, I think the signing of Mark Gay makes a lot of sense just because of the injury problems they're not having with a broken leg on Gvardiol, Ruben Diaz still out, John Stones never really reliable never reliable fitness wise. So it's clear that when your third choice center half is always unreliable and your second choice breaks a bone, then I think it makes sense to look for a stronger. Yeah, if everyone's fit, if Diaz and Gvardiol are both fit, then maybe Gay doesn't play. But I mean, you need a squad, and I think bringing him in now is a little bit. They probably, his contract was running out this summer, so there was the option of getting him on a free in the summer. But then there would have been a massive bidding war on the contract and on the terms. And these free transfers, they're never really free. What happens then if a guy's out of contract? The agent will just go, well, if he was under contract, you'd be paying this much in transfer fee, so we're going to take that as a sign-on fee. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So they got a bit of a first mover advantage here, just getting it tied up in January. So there wasn't a big bidding war, and they need him because of the injury situation. So it makes total sense. And he's also homegrown, which is useful. Always good to have guys for that homegrown quota.
Yeah, for sure. And the other part in this is a lot of people have pointed out that since the 115 charges were announced, City now could build an entire new 11-man starting line and have spent almost $500 million since the charges were officially announced. And I was reading, I think it was Miguel Delaney the other day, reported that sources are telling him that it may be another year.
Yeah, one more year.
They resolve this. The 115 charges have become the Premier League's Epstein files, Lars.
That's an interesting comparison. I mean, you're the one who said we're going to keep the politics out of things, Peter. So, good luck with that one. But
you know what I mean? Like, it just feels like...
But I think we have... correct me. I believe there was one of the many sort of internal leaks that came out from Man City back in the day. Had their CEO or owner say something, I'd rather spend so and so many millions on lawyers fighting this forever than admitting to any wrongdoing. So, I mean, there are many charges. City are contesting them all. The process is taking a long time. That's just how it goes.
Pep is going to be long gone, and then the hammer's going to fall. He's going to be like, Sitting on a beach in Spain.
I don't think a hammer's ever going to fall.
I suspect you're onto something there. I think what's an interesting storyline here, since you mentioned it, Andy, very briefly, I've always kind of suspected that Guardiola is planning to leave at the end of this season. That was his plan. I think that's why they're playing like they are, by the way. They're not even attempting to play Pep Guardiola football. Like, they've been playing on the counterattack half the season. It's really weird. And which I think is just Pep going, I don't have time to teach these guys to play my way. I'm just going to try to get the most out of what we have.
No, it's a great observation.
Because I have one more year and then I'm out of here.
Because his demeanor on the bench has been quite different on the sidelines this year than it has in years past. And you can kind of see it. You feel it.
Yeah, and he did a big interview last summer. He doesn't do a lot of these big interviews, but he did one. It was in Vogue or some very unexpected place where he did talk about like how he was already talking about what he would like to do when he is finished, how he would spend his time. And I think when you're already talking like that, then mentally there's a switch that's already been pushed, I think. So I am kind of expecting this to be his last season. My question is then, does it change anything that they're not going to win the league now? I mean, Arsenal, I don't, unless they've scored whilst I've been talking, it's still a draw between them and Forest, but they could make it 9 points. And I'm not sure how you claw that back. I mean, no, obviously nobody gets crowned champion in January, but it's looking an awful lot like it's going to be Arsenal. Do you not think the competitive side of him was like, damn it, I don't want to go out on a loss. I want to do one more and win.
Depends what they do in Champions League.
Yeah. Lars, you are correct. In fact, Arsenal just hit their the game's first shot on goal. They're in the 61st minute. It is still donuts between them and Forest. At Forest, by the way. So we'll keep everybody posted. Unfortunately, our TV situation here in the studio does not give us access to our local NBC affiliate, so I'm just having to follow it on FOTBOB. So that is 0. Though Villa does play tomorrow, and if Arsenal was to lose today, that would be 6. But if Arsenal wins today, that, as you said, is a 9-point gap, and you got to feel like Arsenal have it tied up at that point. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, there was lots of other action in the Premier League today, including some shocking results for both Andy and Lars, and we'll talk about that next year on the KickAround. We have not done this in a bit, mostly because we don't get a lot of it. Letter from a listener.
It's not how you sell it, man. We get lots of letters. We finally found one we want to read on air. What are you talking about?
Yes, we get lots of letters from listeners. We'll read this particular one and discuss it in detail in about 30 minutes or so here on the KickAround. All right, yes, he's here. Lars. Live from Norway. Are you still connected, or did Oslo Telecom fail us again?
No, we're good. We're good.
Excellent. Now, I know this won't be your favorite thing in the world to do, but we've got other games to go through. We will start with the fact that Spurs, as of today, now have only won 4 of their last 25 home games, Lars, as they dropped a stunner to lowly West Ham in added time 2-1 today.
Yeah. So in their last league games, in the last league game before this, they lost to Bournemouth, who hadn't won in 11. And now Tottenham lost to West Ham, who hadn't won in 10 in the league. So really inspired by some of the adverts. I mean, my comments on this, I love being on the show because I listen to the adverts and they're so different from our advertising culture over here. So I think with this segment, we should do something like, have your soccer team lost a lot of games recently? Dr. Tottenham can help. Call us today and set up a game against Tottenham, which you will inevitably win. Boost your team's confidence and make your family proud of you once again. Call Dr. Tottenham right now. There's a bit about side effects. I'm not sure that would be that nausea, dizziness, loose stool. I don't know. But it's Dr. Tottenham. I think this is the way to go for this football team.
The look on Thomas Frank's face at the end of that game at the final whistle was a very unpleasant look on the man's face. Will, do you think that's it? Do you think they get rid of him this week?
I don't know, man. It is very odd. They have just done a reshuffle on the coaching side of things. They've hired Johnny Heitinga to be his first team coach. They put out the CEO put out like an open letter talking about how they acknowledge that they've not been doing well enough, which is always there's always good information. Thank you for that.
Not Daniel Levy is his name, by the way.
No, Levy is gone, so it's a bad time for all the people who thought just as long as Levy leaves, everything will be fine with Tottenham. Turns out not to be the case. I think the problem with Thomas Frank remains. I mean, there are extenuating circumstances. One being the injuries. They have injuries to key players still. Second being the squad that they've put together, which doesn't seem to include midfielders who can pass the ball. That was somehow not a priority. And I still wonder, like, is that to blame more so than the coach? But I also just... my problem has always been Thomas Frank is trying to coach them like he was still at Brentford. He set up this team to defend and to try to hit it long, to try to win set pieces and try to be good at set pieces. They don't have a game plan on their own. They don't know what to do when they have the ball. And that's okay when you're Brentford and you have one of the smallest budgets in the league and you're just trying to claw your way to some points so you don't get relegated.
Brentford, who is 7th in the table.
But Tottenham, whatever you think of them, they have the 5th highest turnover in the league, the 6th highest wage bill. So teams are going to sit back against you, and you have to play. You can't just sit back and try to hit them on the counter. That's not possible at Spurs. You have to have a game plan, and he doesn't.
All right, so they went out and they snuck Conor Gallagher away from Villa in the transfer window, and I saw that he played today. Was he any good?
He did. I mean, he ran around a lot, which Conor Gallagher does. I think he will be a good signing in time. I think he brings a lot of energy. He brings a good attitude, all this sort of stuff. But if your main problem is that none of your midfielders can pass the ball, I'm not entirely sure he's the solution to that, because he's a kind of all-action, energetic, covers a lot of ground, but not the best passer in the world. That's kind of what they already have. So I like him long-term as someone who I think will be a useful player for Tottenham, but I'm not convinced he's the immediate solution to the problem they have right now.
Well, with the loss, Tottenham is in 14th place.
By the way, which is still, they finished 17th last year, right? Did they? They did.
They did.
So he's still... He still improved the team.
Be
3
nice
slots.
to Lars, Andy.
No, I'm just saying it's an improvement over last year.
I don't think Lars feels that way about it.
This is a much improved Spurs.
Lars, it's okay if you want to say something mean to Andy.
Isn't it just? No, I mean, I feel like I've said all the mean things I have to say about this team. It's just they don't deserve to be any higher. They've been very bad. I think the coach has all the wrong ideas. I'm not sure anything's going to get better while he's still there. But there are also certain extenuating circumstances that we just mentioned. But they are quite dreadful.
Well, West Ham got their first win in their last 10. They are still in the relegation zone, but that does help them sneak closer to Forest and Leeds. Now, speaking of a bit of shocking results, at Anfield today, Andy's Liverpool failed
we got a draw.
to get
we
3
got a point
against Burnley, who, by the way, is who United drew against just a matter a few days ago. See, now I suddenly feel so bad about drawing against Burnley.
Maybe Burnley has something going.
1-1 between Liverpool and Burnley. Andy, how are you okay?
Well, okay in that I don't think they were terrible. They had 32 shots on goal versus 7. They just didn't put the ball in the net. Sometimes you have those games when you do a lot of things right, except score. And I know the name of the game is scoring, and that's how you win games. And that's what they didn't do today. But
here was the stat that came out of this game that caught me off guard. Liverpool have not beaten a promoted side at home this season.
Okay.
And the interesting thing is, I was on I was on a podcast the day after they drew 0-0 to Leeds. And I said the exact same things that Andy just kind of said, and that wasn't a terrible performance either. I thought in that game Leeds defended very, very well. But I do wonder if there's... How many times does that happen before you go, okay, we need to be a little bit better? But fundamentally, I agree with everything Andy just said.
Yeah, no, both things can be right. And it can be that you are just a team that is not good at scoring goals and good at doing other things. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's still not good enough to win the trophy.
Right.
And it's still a team that can maybe barely finish top 4, top 5. And it's a team that shows, issues in the final third. But it's they're not terrible.
No, I'm curious as to where you're how you're feeling about the season, based that you're in fourth place and they are
obviously
14 points behind Arsenal.
Yeah, no, I mean we're not the trophy. This is not about the trophy anymore. It's about finishing top 5 to get to Europe.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So,
yeah, that does the draw does put them on 36 points, 1 point ahead of United in fourth place. Burnley, with the additional point, now up to 14 points at 19th place.
Well,
place
all
on
the teams
season.
at the bottom, they all had good results today. I don't know what's Arsenal doing.
Wolves plays tomorrow against Newcastle. So,
but the others all had results, right?
Well, Forest is playing Arsenal right now, but Burnley got that result and West Ham won. Yes, correct.
Yeah. Forest still holding on. Arteta has made 4 substitutions pretty early in the second half, so he's not a happy bunny, but it's still 0-0.
There are now 3 shots on goal in that game, all for Arsenal. Before we go, Chelsea ends up getting a big win today against Brentford, who had not lost in their last 6 games, by the way, and had pushed themselves up to, I think, 5th or 7th or 6th place. Chelsea and Rossinier gets his first win in a Premier League game. They end up winning 2-0 today, Lars. What is your take on this new manager for Chelsea?
So Liam Rossinier is, by all accounts, a very intelligent and eloquent young man. A former columnist in The Guardian, by the way, a newspaper I've also done some work with. It would be a stretch to call him a former colleague. I mean, that would be that's not quite accurate, but, in the same sort. So I'm obviously inclined to like him. He's done a great job at Strasbourg. Chelsea's sort of the French-based farmer club, I guess you could call them. I think this was a very important win for him, because there's this thing with managers, is that win or lose, you have to make sure you don't become the meme. I mean, this is something that happened to Thomas Frank the other week with the Bournemouth game, when he was pictured holding an Arsenal mug, and he became not just a pitiful figure, but a hilarious figure. Liam Rossinier, unfortunately, this week became the meme because a documentary, some footage of it from a documentary that was made with him when he was in his last club surfaced, where he talked about how, in his leadership style, he talked about how the word manage in English is actually just a combination of the words man and age. So what you're doing is you're aging men. Said a guy who's 40 and looks younger than that as well.
Such a weird quote.
He does, and it's not the first. So I say he's eloquent. When he talks, he does come across as a guy who spends a lot of time on LinkedIn. I think we all have annoying coworkers who post very long leadership advice about how, falling down on their way to work today, how much that taught them about leadership or whatever. All these sort of weird stuff that you find on the networking site LinkedIn. Liam Rossinier has that. He has big LinkedIn energy. And I think
I love that.
He does.
That's awesome. Can I steal that? I'm going to start throwing that term around.
I just hope that Liam doesn't try to apply that same level of word analysis to therapist. That's what I'm hoping for
this sort of bespectacle self-help guru chat. So I think Liam Rossinier is someone who isn't going to have a lot of leeway with the fans just based on vibes. I think he's not the kind of guy they would gravitate towards. So he needs results, and not getting a win against Brentford, who are sort of kind of a local rival. They're also from West London.
Yeah.
That would have been very, very, very bad. And Brentford, as we've mentioned, high up in the table, have had a really, really good season so far. So that was a dangerous one. Real banana skin. That they managed to get through with a 2-0 win.
My favorite thing about all of that is, unbeknownst to Lars, he cut in and out. The internet cut out on him, and we didn't even realize it. You and I made our comment, and then Lars jumped right back in, and he was still talking.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic. I love it. Are you there now, Lars? Are you back?
I mean, yes. We're very tempting to just not say anything there, just to see what happened.
That would have been funny, too. That would have been great. So Chelsea end up winning that game 2-0 over Brentford, and find themselves now in 6th place on 34 points. Brentford dropped to 7th on 33. What a tight... Liverpool on 36th in 4th. Fulham or Brighton in 11th on 29 points. Pretty crazy. And they've got then Brighton and Bournemouth play each other on Monday. All right, let's take a break. We come back, we'll run through a couple other scores. And I want to talk to Lars and Andy about the ridiculous stuff going on at Real Madrid, and we'll do that next here on the KickAround. We will have World Cup nerd something I would like to call the Dallas effect. Coming up in about 30 minutes or so here on the KickAround. Andy's here, I'm here, and so is our buddy Lars, live from Norway. Are you wearing a sweater, Lars?
I am. It's cold.
What is the heater set at a household in Norway at this time of year?
Well, that's the thing. Like, the energy bills are pretty high as well, so we tend to just wear a lot of clothes indoor.
All right, see, smart thinking. Hey, before we get into the Real Madrid stuff that I wanted to get into, Andy, with Lars, I do want to comment and go through the rest of the scores of the day. By the way, this has to be the worst possible time to be a Crystal Palace fan. After winning the FA Cup and winning the Charity Shield and playing in Europe, you've now lost the FA Cup in your first game out to a 6th division side. You have to sell off your best center back. You sold off Eze, and now your manager has announced halfway through the season he's not signing a new deal. This has to be a bad time to be a Palace fan, Lars.
It was tough that they happened in the same press conference as well. Like, it was kind of confirmed that Gahey was leaving and that Glasner was going to leave pretty much in the same press conference on Friday. Now, both of these things were open secrets. Mark Gahey's contract is up at the end of the season. No one in their right mind would expect him to renew it. The fact that they now have a chance to sell him for a pretty decent fee to Man City midway through a season where they don't really have a lot to play for in the league, I think that is probably the right decision for that club. But of course, that coinciding with the coach whose contract also expires at the end of the season coming out and saying that I'm leaving, that's a tough day. I still think, I mean, this is where you are at Crystal Palace. Like, there is a ceiling for what you can realistically achieve. You had a great year last year. Oliver Glasner was probably always, he's a good coach. Like, he took Wolfsburg to the Champions League in Germany. He won the Europa League with Frankfurt. I think he only ever saw Palace as a calling card for bigger clubs in England and elsewhere. To be perfectly honest, you've had good service out of him, and now you have a season where you're not going to get relegated. They're probably going to finish 12th or something, and it's time to accept the fact that those changes are coming. And I would still think, as much as everything is negative with Palace now, and they haven't won in a long time, I still think they'll win the Europa Conference League, most likely. So, there's a trophy at the end of it for them.
That would be a big deal. Yeah, absolutely. They lost today to Sunderland after going up in the 30th minute. They end up succumbing to the Black Cats 2-1, who, by the way, now find themselves in 8th place. Lars, here we are 22 games into the season, and Sunderland is in 8th place. I admire that team greatly. Palace now down to 13th and have not won in quite some time, and weird times for the Palace people. Let's see. Leeds also got a very late winner in added time over Fulham, 1-0, and Leeds wins their first game in 5 and keep themselves out of the relegation zone, and that's Fulham's first loss in 6, by the way. Tomorrow, as we mentioned, Wolves is facing off against Newcastle, and Aston Villa has a big game if they want to keep up with Arsenal, who, by the way, let me check the score. It's still, they're in added time, and it is still donuts between Forest and Arsenal. So Aston Villa can make up some ground if they get a win over Everton tomorrow, and then Brighton and Bournemouth happens on Monday. Lars, over in La Liga, there is high drama going on with one small club called Real Madrid. They fired Xabi Alonso, and who's going to end up being the head coach? They got an interim guy who promptly then lost to a team that I don't know if they've ever lost to before. There is some weird stuff going on over there. I was hoping you could catch everybody up.
Yeah, Albacete. I'm not sure they lost against Albacete either. That was very surprising. Interesting thing that I heard this week, which I have to say it's not my own intel at all. It's the Spanish journalist Diego Torres, who's been covering Real Madrid for a very long time. He's a journalist who divides opinion, but as a colleague of mine says, it's uncanny how often he ends up being right. He's one of those guys who's got connection, even if he is sometimes a controversial figure. I say all this stuff because Diego Torres said this week that Alonso never really had the backing of Florentino Perez, the all-powerful president of Real Madrid. They made the initial agreement for him to come to Real Madrid a year before he actually did. a year before he actually went there. It was when he finished up his unbeaten domestic season in Germany with Leverkusen. They won the Bundesliga without losing a single game. At that point, they signed an agreement for him to come to Real Madrid after the next year. And now what happened immediately after that was that Leverkusen lost the Europa League final to Atalanta. I say all this because according to Diego Torres, when that game happened, Florentino Perez turned around to one.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Oh no!
Oh right!
Oh no!
Right.
Bad time for Lars and the Oslo Telecom to poop out on us. Hopefully, Lars will come back. We'll wait for Lars here in a second. I will ask you in the meantime.
Did
Andy,
not, follow up. Yeah.
Lars, you cut out for a second. That's why.
Right when Fiorentino was going to say something after
cut
the
out.
loss.
Yeah, okay. So Florentino Perez turned, as Leverkusen lost their first game of the year to Atalanta, he turned to an associate and said, "I'm not sure about this guy."
Oh.
Oh no!
So, dead man walking.
Which is
then.
kind of ridiculous, but that tells you a year before he actually arrived at Real Madrid, the guy at the top of that particular pyramid was having doubts. And he followed that up, of course, that Europa League defeat with an unconvincing title defense in the Bundesliga, with not being that great in the Champions League. So when he comes in, and initially they don't do well in the Club World Cup, because that's a tournament Alonso didn't even want to play, because he wanted to get to know his team and coach them instead. He doesn't do well in the Club World Cup. He quickly has some friction between him and Vinicius Jr. and some other stars. So you can see why, on the one hand, it's ridiculous that he gets fired after 6 months, but you can also see the outlines of a picture of a guy who never really had the total backing of the leadership and who very quickly started having friction between him and big stars in the group.
But isn't this, in some ways, a story about player power and how Perez runs that entire thing and his willingness to kind of let the players run everything that way? Because, and the reason why I bring that up is one of the names that's getting thrown around as a replacement is Klopp. And
yeah, no, that's an absurd rumor.
Is it?
The whole thing that's also slightly mystifying with Xabi Alonso's time at Real Madrid is that he was brought in with this idea of he is the guy who will curb the player power. He will institute more of a system where all the players have to work hard off the ball. And I mean, he said early on last summer in the press conference that I want all my players to defend. And famously, quite a few of those guys don't like doing that. And he immediately had some issues with the players. And you're right, he was supposed to be a guy who was supposed to come in, put in place a system, get some of the egos under control. There was also stuff like the players' dieting habits and how often they turned up late for training and stuff like that. He was supposed to lay down the law a little bit, but you're right. The second the players kick back, the management of the club backed the players and not the coach.
I can't see Klopp going to Madrid, but you know what I can see? I can see Xabi going to Liverpool, and I know that rumor's out as well, right?
Yeah, I definitely think this is a bad time for Arne Slot to not be winning football games.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a crazy situation, and obviously weird times over there. They won today, but they still are trail behind Barcelona in La Liga, and Barcelona's got their own drama going on too.
They always do. I mean, Barcelona, the drama is ever present. That's always the case with these clubs. I do think the fascinating thing for me with Real Madrid, I want to just continue on the subject because I had a line on this that I'm quite happy with, if I may say so myself.
Please.
Most jobs in the world, the head coach, the manager, his job is to train the players, decide the tactics, pick the team. And then some clubs will have some big names where you have to manage the stars a little bit. And in some clubs, you have to manage up and you have to manage the owner a little bit as well. Like that's the job description of a modern manager. In Real Madrid, this whole thing is upside down. At Real Madrid, the first thing you have to do is manage the president, Florentino Perez. The second thing you have to do is manage the egos in the dressing room. And if you do that, then maybe you get to decide how to train them. And maybe you get to decide what to do tactically. And maybe you get to decide to pick the team. But it is like the order of importance is completely reversed. It must be the most political club there is in terms of how the internal politics of it. You have to have the president on side. You have to have the big names in the dressing room on side. And if you don't have that, then it doesn't matter what you do with the rest of your time.
That is the amazing Lars Sivertsen. Lars, we're so excited to have you hanging out with us for the World Cup in person this time around.
Looking forward to it, Peter.
As you will be here with us in Dallas when we get, hopefully in the next week or two, we'll be able to officially announce all of our World Cup broadcasting plans here on the ticket coming up in June and July, and Lars will be here for it as well. And then Lars.
I'm just going to say, a general, very much looking forward to that, Peter. I had such a great time and met some lovely people from our listeners last time. So hopefully more of that.
Steak and guns for Lars is pretty much what we've got. Yeah, beyond just the radio show, we'll take him to all the Texas hits for sure. Lars, thanks so much for checking in. Safe travels with you. When we come back, Andy and I will do letters from a listener next on the Kick Around. One of the coolest and most heartwarming things I've heard about soccer, we will get into before the end of the show during the dribble here on the Kick Around. Welcome back. I'm Peter. He's Andy. We're here till 2:30 today, and then it's NFL football. Andy's Broncos. Are you nervous about the Broncos, Andy?
First home playoff game in 10 years.
How did you become a Bronco fan?
Growing
Super
up in
Bowl,
Brazil. The first Super Bowl I watched was Cowboys-Broncos.
And you just had to root against the Cowboys?
I picked the team, yeah. Picked the team.
You jerk. You should have been a Cowboy fan.
Could have been.
You could have been.
Could have been.
Liverpool and the Broncos. That's a weird mix. Okay. We haven't done this in a while. As Andy said, we get lots of letters from listeners. We just don't always select them to read them on the air. But today we're going to do it. We're doing letters from listeners. We just the other day got this interesting question from a good P1, Jim Johnson. Dear Kick Around, hi Andy, hi Peter. Peter's my favorite.
I very much doubt he said that.
I made that part up. I applied to be a FIFA volunteer for the World Cup in Dallas, but did not get an interview. Any suggestions for other volunteer opportunities during the World Cup here in Dallas? Thanks, Jim Johnson.
So the first thing we have to say or show is that I think we've gotten close to 40,000 applications.
Just here in Dallas?
Yeah, over 30,000 for sure, but then you add international applications. So, and only half of those actually lead to an interview because of the time factor. You can only interview so many people. So I think about 15,000 eventually get interviewed. We're almost at 10,000. This week we'll hit 10,000 interviews.
Do you know what qualified you getting chosen to go for an interview?
I don't know what they're looking at. It might be just, luck of the draw.
Well,
but then once you get that interview, half of those can only get a position because there's only a certain amount of positions available for volunteering. So if you look, just do the numbers, it's hard.
Yeah, a good friend of mine, you know him.
Mm-hmm.
He signed up to volunteer and got a call for the interview. And several weeks ago, he went down to Fair Park. And he told me the building they did the interviews in. It was down there by where they do the livestock stuff during the state fair. Food and Fiber. Yes, the Food and Fiber building.
Mm-hmm.
So ridiculous.
Yeah. They've set it up in a very cool way.
Yeah, they've got this giant display, and they said they interviewed people in groups of 40.
Mm-hmm.
And he said the process was a little weird. He couldn't figure out exactly how they were going to determine who was going to get to move on to the next deal or not. And they had some different interactive things they wanted you to do. And
they're probably looking for certain personality traits or different, different volunteer roles have different things you're looking for.
And he got to take some photos with cool stuff and lots of historical things you could check out and things like that. And he said, but now he won't find out if he has qualified for a volunteer position until, I think, February. Somewhere in February.
And then they got to get trained. And so, if you don't get one, and the other thing to take into account is that FIFA will also bring in volunteers that have registered from abroad, that have applied from abroad, and you have to include those and those that.
Is that for different languages purposes?
No, they're volunteers that volunteered World Cups, like all World Cups. They just volunteer for World Cups, and they've been doing it for a long time. So they're a little bit more experienced in that regard. And they bring language expertise and cultural expertise and that kind of thing. So, but if you're still looking to volunteer, and you can't be an official FIFA World Cup volunteer, there are other opportunities, I imagine. Like different municipalities, different neighborhoods are going to have their own fan fests. There are going to be official fan fests that will rotate among neighborhoods and among municipalities in the Metroplex. They're going to be looking for volunteers independent of the FIFA volunteers to run that event. So you can, check for those opportunities.
Do we need kick-around volunteers?
Maybe we need a, well, they'll call interns if they're just help us with the show. Is that what you're talking about?
Maybe we'll call them volunteers.
Yeah, we'll call them volunteers.
Right,
yeah, why not? Yeah.
Because I don't think you have to pay them.
Right. So have you ever volunteered for any soccer-related event or sports event?
Dallas Cup kind of stuff. When I was a little kid.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You volunteered for us.
I used to volunteer for the Bayern Nelson. I had some family friends that were part of that salesman group. Mm-hmm. And so I carried one of the score signs during a Bayern Nelson round one day.
You're a Dallas Cup volunteer. That led to some. You've housed referees. From the Premier League.
Yeah, they're doing that again, by the way, this year. They brought back the referee homestay program here for Dallas Cup, and I got an email about it just the other day. So yeah, they're bringing that back. They haven't done that since prior to the pandemic.
But a couple of the referees that you housed for us at Dallas Cup went on to, now they're Premier League officials.
Yeah. One is a Premier League assistant and one is a center referee. Tom Bramall is a center and Ian Hoosen is a line.
And other cool things, the volunteering for World Cup is very cool. And we've had some neat stories. For example, we've had and I have a friend whose parents volunteered at the '94 World Cup, and he's interviewed to volunteer.
So what are the different kind of roles that you end up getting assigned to as a volunteer?
I think most people that volunteer have the hope, not the expectation, but the hope
down on the field
that they're going to be down on the field and holding Messi's hand or something.
Ball boy,
yeah. But yeah, not all volunteers unfortunately can do it at the stadium. But the Fan Fest is a one area that needs a lot of volunteers. The International Broadcast Center, the IBC, we in here in North Texas are the ones that are hosting all the media and broadcasters coming from abroad. So that is a big requirement in terms of volunteer base. The airport. To greet fans that come from abroad, is a big one. And I wonder too if you can go independently through DFW if they have their own volunteer program, independent of what FIFA will be providing for volunteers during World Cup. So that's another one that you might be able to go and check out if you're looking for volunteer opportunities.
Interesting. All right. Well, with the 9 games happening here and Dallas's involvement in the tournament literally happening from before the tournament even starts because of the broadcast center all the way to the semifinals. I mean, I say this to people, ask me all the time. I mean, what should I expect? I'm not a soccer fan, but I know the World Cup's coming. I'm just telling you, it's going to be, if you live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, the tournament is going to you're going to notice in terms of all different aspects of your life.
Our population will go up by 15-20%, right?
Yeah.
When you count from everybody coming from outside of the area to watch games. And I will say this, the volunteering, like it's World Cup, Olympics, Dallas Cup, the volunteer base is what makes events like this be successful. You're hosting a Super Bowl. It's another one that has a huge volunteer base. Volunteers are really such an important part of the success of an event.
I meant to ask you this. I saw Croatia announce that they're staying in D.C. or Virginia or something like that. Have they announced anybody here in these two places?
Yet.
No. Okay. I know there's lots of different opportunities for different national teams to base here in the Dallas area.
Yeah, but if you think about the recent announcement that Germany was going to base in the Carolinas, right? North Carolina, they don't have games in Carolina. Some teams want privacy, and they don't necessarily opt to base where they're
playing. Interesting. All right.
Because all their fans are going to be there.
Well, thanks to Jim for sending the email. It made for a good opportunity for us to talk about the volunteer aspect of the World Cup coming up. And so you can send Andy an email if you have any questions about volunteering. When we come back, we are going to get into World Cup Nerd. We're going to talk about the national team, the U.S. men's national team, and the Dallas effect next on the KickAround. We'll do America's favorite soccer segment in the whole damn world, the dribble, before the end of the show in our bonus segment here on the KickAround. But now it is time to do our favorite new weekly segment, World Cup Nerd, because Andy and I are absolutely soccer nerds, but we're really big World Cup nerds. And with the World Cup coming
You're coming
here,
along. You're getting there.
I'm not anywhere near the nerd about
You're
the World Cup
getting there.
that you are. I'm more soccer nerd than World Cup nerd, but you are absolutely the World Cup nerd. And one of the things that's been happening over the course of the last week or so is that a lot of the different media members, soccer pundits as they call them, Alexia Lawless in particular, have been started to roll out their predictions for a roster for the U.S. men's national team.
So early.
It is early. There's a lot of ground to cover, a lot of form to fall into. Players returning from injury. Can they return from injury? Tyler Adams, for example, will his MCL heal enough for him to be effective in the World Cup? Things like that. But one of the things that has dawned on me, and I kind of knew this already, but it really hit me when I saw some of these lists, is how it reflects us here locally in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Because, Andy, do you realize that Dallas, specifically the Burn, FC Dallas, have an opportunity to take 5 different roster spots
Yes, I'm well aware.
on this World Cup roster for the U.S.?
It's pretty incredible.
It is, and it would represent the largest batch of players from one club in all of MLS.
Correct. And I think what you look at is that we are at the 2026 World Cup. So when did MLS teams really start to develop and roll out academies? About 10 years ago, I think, in earnest, right? 15 years ago, maybe. But FC Dallas was one of the first, if not the first, to really put a lot of thought and resources into building an academy. They were the first to employ the philosophy of having one way to play from first team down. And so, but success doesn't come overnight when you build something like that. And I think 10, 15 years later, we're now at the generation of players that have come out of that system. And this is why Dallas now in the 2026 World Cup is where they are in terms of numbers and what they're providing the national team. It's all a result of what was happening 10, 15 years ago.
One of the parts of this experience, you and I have been, you worked for the club. I was a fan of them since day one, but part of this entire experience of growing along with the club and the league over the course of 30 years is how it has become part of the national team, and following the national team from World Cup to missing a World Cup is those opportunities when you get to see a reflection of your club in your national team. And I can think of getting excited about the national team being good, but I don't think there's anything as cool as there is the idea that your club is being represented in some way at the national team level.
And your club's academy, especially because some of these players have gone on and they've really built their careers elsewhere, but it all comes back to where they developed as teenagers.
Yeah, so right now, the 5 players of potential that could reflect FC Dallas, obviously, is Weston McKennie, who's playing at Juve right now. I think Weston's probably a lock at this point. And there's a whole conversation about Weston coming back to Major League Soccer. We had a conversation about it last week. I think since then, it's less likely he's doing that. I think he's going to get some better offers to go somewhere else in Europe than come play here. Obviously, Ricardo Pepi is one that actually wore the shirt at the senior level, but he's dealing with the broken arm. I suspect he'll be healthy and back and be one of the ones chosen. Just this last week, announced as Player of the Year for U.S. Soccer, Chris Richards, who is obviously at Crystal Palace. He's probably the most locked player in here because they need the center back now,
circumstances,
right?
Yep.
Tanner Tessman who is playing over in France, has played in Italy for a while. I think he's one of the best stories going into this final round of games. I think he's really battling to be one of those final roster players.
He's come into the picture later in the process.
Yeah.
But he's strong. He's a strong candidate now for sure.
And the fifth is Zendejas, which many people don't remember was actually an FC Dallas player, was sold. I think I'm saying this correctly. I think Zendejas was the first player Dallas ever sold. And I think he was sold to Club America for like $750,000. But he does come from the academy, so like these other guys. So that's really, I think, the most exciting part as us being a Dallas show and talking about this kind of North Texas marketplace. Now, not all these guys come from or started in North Texas, but they all they played in the academy and played in the youth structure here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area over a period of time. And I think it is a reflection of just how competitive and deep and significant Dallas-Fort Worth and North Texas is in terms of the larger bed of talent for the United States.
Yeah, it's the rich history of youth soccer in Dallas. It goes back a long ways. It goes back to Tornado days. They were very grassroots about their approach to the community. That led to camps, that led to coaching, and a lot of those players remained in the area as coaches. The Dallas Cup started 45 years. 1980 was the first year the Dallas Cup took place. So that tournament has been around a long time, and it's given the opportunity for local kids to play international competition. Not every market has a Dallas Cup, has a tournament that's played every year where local players can play against top quality international competition. So that's meant something as well. The Dallas Sidekicks. We have to talk about the time between the NASL and MLS when outdoor soccer was dead in the country. Here locally, the Dallas Sidekicks did a really, really good job, much like the Tornado. And there are a lot of sidekick roots. A lot of sidekick players started with the Tornado. And they kept the tradition, the grassroots and community outreach tradition, and I think that also helped develop coaching in the area and gave a lot of importance to youth soccer and youth development. So, and on the girls' side, we have to mention the Dallas Sting. The Dallas Sting was a girls' youth soccer team. They were the base of the U.S. women's national team, the first U.S. women's national team to go play abroad. The base of that team, it was really the Dallas Sting.
It was the Sting.
Yeah, it was the Sting in the late 70s, early 80s. So a lot of history there, and that counts for something. That counts for something, and it also led to FC Dallas, I think, their approach to putting a lot of importance on developing an academy and starting an academy and doing it the right way.
Well, so much time has gone by. I think a lot of this has either been forgotten or not known, but when Dallas, the Burn started, they were not one of the original 10 teams that had, quote unquote, an owner. They were run by the league. You were part of that front office staff. You guys were just kind of a guerrilla grassroots kind of organization. You didn't have a youth team back then.
Yeah, no MLS teams.
MLS team.
All MLS teams. It was all about survival. For those first 10 years, it was all about survival. All revenues and any money left over from paying bills had to be reinvested back in developing the first team. But then once the league got firm footing, that's when MLS 2.0 was going to be dependent, 3.0 and so on was going to be depending on developing players. And that's why the academy program started.
And part of that backstory is how Dallas got saved by Lamar Hunt right around the turn of the century when he and his family decided to take over the team and keep them from being one of the teams that was contracted.
Yeah.
So
Phil Anschutz and Lamar Hunt both took teams, and Lamar, Lamar being based in Dallas, lived in Dallas. His kids were products of the youth soccer system in Dallas, Clark and Dan.
Right.
And so it was natural for Lamar to take over the Burn at the time.
And what's interesting about that backstory is that the Hunt family at the time already owned and operated two MLS markets, the Columbus and Kansas City. But in a short period of time, the family decided to divest themselves from two of the three clubs, and that was Kansas City and Columbus. Now, I've never heard them say this. This has always been my speculation, that the reason why they chose to stick with Dallas and Dallas only was because of the potential of just the pool of players and the growth of the youth game here in the Dallas area was exponentially greater than Columbus and Kansas City combined. Like, the real opportunity for growing the game in the United States was found here in Dallas, and that was how they ended up just sticking with Dallas.
Yeah, well, there is a movement for MLS to divest itself from having multiple owners or one owner own multiple teams. So there was a push for that, and basically the Hunt family had to decide, okay, which of the franchises are we going to want to be a part of? They're based in Dallas as well, and I'm telling you, they do know the market well because both Clark and Dan played youth soccer here, college soccer as well. Clark played at SMU. And then, they were able to work out a deal to build a stadium here. They brought the National Soccer Hall of Fame to our area. So, look, they had a good vision about what was needed to be done to develop a good academy and to develop players. And I think bringing Oscar Pareja is something we have to mention. Because he was the one that brought the philosophy, started the academy, and the philosophy mirrors what academies are like in many parts of the world, which is your top team, your under 12 team, your under 14 team, your under 17 team. They all play like the senior teams in terms of style and approach to the game. They had that philosophy from day one, and we are now seeing the benefits of that.
Clark Hunt is a really smart business person. Lamar was a great business person too. And I think you and I recognize that the sport of soccer, the business of it, a big opportunity is at the youth level. There's just so much opportunity there. And so I think the family found and saw that opportunity to help them grow the senior team too. I mean, FC Dallas is an unusual case in that a lot of the prestige that is tied to the team is tied to the academy, being a youth player, maybe even more so than being a senior team player at this point. Yeah,
and from the point of view of somebody that has been involved with Dallas Cup for a long time, seeing how they approach Dallas Cup and the importance of playing in that tournament also shows the value that they see and the exposure that players at certain age levels are getting to international competition. Not all clubs, not all franchises saw it that way. They did, and they saw that this was, like you said, they saw what we have here in North Texas in terms of youth soccer. And it's not just soccer, and I think part of it is because we have a mentality here. High school football here gets 20,000 fans a game, right? I mean, it's a big deal. Youth sports in this area is important, and soccer now is part of that, and I think that has also helped the cause.
I don't know if I've ever told you the story about when Lars was here a couple years ago, and we drove by high school stadiums.
Yeah.
Like
he's like, what pro team plays
right,
there?
Exactly. Like Lars was blown away that was a high school football stadium. Yeah. And we have tons of them around here that are like that. It is pretty remarkable how we treat it that way. And so that's really the growth of, what's interesting about FC Dallas as a youth academy is they came into a soccer culture that had long been established in this place. It was a hotbed for the game before FC Dallas ever started an academy. Yeah. But I do think they deserve credit for launching it to a different level.
For sure. The vision they had for what an academy should. They're not the only team now in MLS, but they were really the first to look at it that way. Yeah. And I think 2 World Cups from now, we may not see FC Dallas leading the way with the number of academy players on the national team because other teams in MLS are catching up, and they have been catching up. But what we're seeing now is because FC Dallas was a pioneer back in the day when MLS teams first started rolling academies out.
It's funny because just with other MLS teams, just look down at Houston. Houston has a lot of advantages that Dallas doesn't have in terms of a downtown stadium, that kind of stuff, and they've won a couple of MLS Cups. But Houston doesn't have really any kind of youth academy anywhere close to what Dallas has been able to pull off. And that's a big problem for them. So Dallas has really benefited especially because now they've got several guys on the team that are going to be starters this upcoming season.
Yeah.
Nolan Norris, Bernie Kamungo, other guys that are going to be. Chris Kappas, a kid that came out of the academy, left, ended up going over to play in Scandinavia, now is very likely going to end up being a starting center midfielder for them this year. So that's a great story.
Yeah.
I love it's one of my favorite parts about the team.
And you know what? It starts at the top too. Dan Hunt, Clark Hunt, Jimmy Smith, who are at the top of the chain, right? At FC Dallas. You see them at academy games.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And that sends a message, I think.
Yeah. It's a great story. Maybe, just maybe, in one game, we'll see Chris Richards clear a ball out of the back. It'll get to Tanner Tessman, who'll pass it to Weston McKennie, who will put a perfect through ball to Ricardo Pepi, and a game-winning goal will be scored just by Dallas players right there. And I'll shed a little burn tear.
You'll say it's all worth it.
With my Islamico tattoo somewhere on there. All right, very good. There we go. U.S. men's national team and the Dallas Effect. When we come back, we'll do America's favorite soccer segment, The Dribble, next on the Kick-Around. Bonus segment of the Kick-Around. NFL football comes up at the bottom of the hour. Welcome back. We'll finish up with a couple of things that I wanted to get into. First off, everybody knows that Andy's number one hero in the entire world is Ryan Reynolds. And we were talking about the Josh Sargent story earlier today. And by the way, Josh didn't play. He was sent down to train with the under 21s because of the whole drama going on with him. But they played Wrexham today. Norwich did. And they beat Wrexham in Wales 2-1 today, which is kind of a big deal because Wrexham now is down to 10th. But did you watch the FA Cup game that they won against Forest?
I did.
Did you celebrate?
Yeah, of course.
Of course you did, because you're a big fan.
That's a good story.
Do you think? Because this is.
Are you rooting against Wrexham to go all the way to the Premier? Okay.
No. It would be. Look, it would be good for all of us if Wrexham was able to pull this off. But that's really what I wanted to ask you. The most improbable thing may actually happen because the way the season started wasn't great. But here they are. They're only a few points out of a promotion spot, and they're not that far away from an automatic spot. If they go on a good run, they've already bested many of the teams at the top of the table. They've already finished that part of their season in terms of away games. I'm wondering from your perspective as a fan, do you think they can pull this off and get promoted a fourth straight time?
Do I think they can? Of course, I think.
Do you think
they
will? How about that?
I don't think they will.
Okay.
I don't think they will.
Do you think they'll make a playoff spot?
Perhaps, but that's a tall order to get through that playoff. That championship playoff run is
the toughest.
Yeah. But it doesn't mean that the season is not successful if they do what they're doing now, and I think eventually they're going to get to the Premier League, and it's going to be interesting to see how those guys handle that and whether how engaged they stay after that.
Yeah, it'll be fun to watch them in the next. Who do they have in the next FA Cup round? Do you know who they play next? I forgot. I had this up here just a second ago. Hold on, I got it.
It's not a Premier League team.
It's the doubleheader against Ipswich.
They got a good
draw. Yeah, Phil Parkinson out of this entire thing has been the best part of the story. Is in terms of the management and the fact that they've done this entire thing with one manager through this entire run has been a really good part of it. I was just curious because I saw that today because if they had beaten Norwich today, they would have fallen them. I think they would have actually ended up in one of the playoff spots, at least in a position.
If they would have won today?
If they had won today, I think they would have been enough points to qualify for a it's so early.
Do you think they'll go up this year?
I think they'll end up in a playoff promotion spot, and I think they'll lose in the playoffs. I don't think they'll get promoted this year.
Okay.
That's never happened before.
Yeah, it's crazy, but it has to happen a first time sometime.
The other thing that I wanted to get into, and this is such a cool story. I love this. I know somebody personally that is participating in this, and I don't know if he wants me to say this out loud, so maybe I shouldn't. But anyway,
now we're all going to wonder. Who?
Are you familiar with Man versus Fat?
I've kind of heard about it.
Man versus fat soccer.
Yeah, I've kind of heard about it. Indoor, right? In Dallas, something like that?
Well, okay. So this is interesting because it actually started over in England. And it is an organization that put leagues together over in England, small-sided soccer, for people who were overweight to use soccer as a mechanism for losing weight and getting healthy.
Okay.
The person that owns this organization brought it over here to the United States not too long ago and launched a couple of leagues in Florida. Well, about I think a little less than a year ago, they brought it over here to Dallas, and they've been playing one of these leagues over at the Blue Sky in the Colony.
Okay.
And it's called Man versus Fat.
Okay.
You sign up, and you pay a monthly fee.
You sign up individually or as a team?
You sign up individually, and they randomly assign everybody to different teams, and they reassign everybody, jumble everybody back up after a couple of seasons, so nobody builds a dominant team.
Okay.
But what's fascinating about this organization is these are all guys who, many of them have never played soccer before.
Mm-hmm.
Many of them have played as kids, but, just put on a bunch of weight or whatever.
Is there a weight limit that, you have to?
I don't think so.
So
you mean like a you can't be 130 pounds?
Yes, a weight limit on the low end that you can't participate if you're not.
I don't think so. I think it has, because, well, listen to me. This is part of the reason why. So part of how they determine winners isn't just based on one team beating another on the field.
It's participation trophy?
No, it is weight loss. So before every game, players are required to come and weigh in.
Yeah.
And if you have players on the team that have lost weight from the week prior, you get an extra goal. If you have a player on the team that has lost 3 straight weeks, that's considered a hat trick, and you get another goal for that. If you have a player who has gained weight from the previous week, that's
pressure.
That's an own goal, and that means you lose a goal.
So everybody gets weighed before the game?
Before the game, and it's compared to their weight to the week prior.
And then the game starts with a certain score already.
Yeah.
It could be 4-3.
Exactly. And then they play the game, and then the goals are scored in the game itself, and then you get a final score.
Wow.
So if you go and look on the website, it's just manvfatsoccer.com. And you can go look at all the standings. But so by the way,
so if you hold on, if you play a game one week and then you go on a binge that week and you're like partying and it's
you
like
may cost your team a goal. Yes,
so you got to think
you might
twice
as well
about
just head it into the. You might as well.
So can you you can't maybe you don't show up that game?
Well, maybe not. I don't know. I mean, maybe that would seem like. That would be defeating the purpose of
right. If you've gained weight, maybe you call it. You're like out.
You pull a Josh Sargent is what you do.
All right. Wow.
Yes. So the league that's happening in the Colony, they are promoting the fact that the collective players, since they've launched the league, have lost a combined total of 1,122 pounds.
Well, how many players? I need context.
Well, there's 6 teams, and there's probably 15 guys on a team.
So 90. So
I've been told there's one guy who has been participating in the league. He joined and was over 400 pounds.
Wow.
He has lost 90 pounds doing this.
Yeah.
Our
Is this safe?
Our friend has lost 15% of his body weight in the process of doing this.
Is this safe?
I guess so.
And this is just from playing one game a week?
So that's part of what you pay for is this additional piece is that there is the guy that manages the league locally is also a trainer and a nutritionist.
That's
so you get a bunch of additional resources in terms of mental health, nutrition.
Yeah.
You're paying for that. It's not inexpensive. It's not like you pay $20 to do this. It's you got to pay a monthly fee.
He says blueberries good, French fries bad.
Yes.
Right? That kind of thing. Okay.
But my favorite part of all this are the team names.
Oh.
Because the players get to decide.
Are they politically correct name?
Oh, they're hilarious.
Okay.
So in the Colony, currently in first place on 18 points. This is combined. They get scale. They break it up into 2 things, the scale league and the pitch league. So the scale league is the total points collected based on weigh-ins.
Mm-hmm.
The pitch league is results on the field, and then there's the combined table of those two things.
Okay.
So in first place currently in the Colony on 18 points is Fat Man United.
Okay.
In second place is
Generic name.
Saint Fatrix.
Okay, a little bit
FC
better. A little bit better.
On 13.
Creative. Yep.
In third on 12 points is Wrexham.
Okay, I like it.
Then followed by Husky Hive Football Club.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite. Tottenham and Cheese.
Okay, good.
Has 6 points. Yeah. And at the bottom of the table right now, KFC Dallas on 5 points.
Okay.
You don't like that name much?
Yeah, it's okay. That's a play on.
But they all wear a different color. They all get to design their own logos and uniforms and stuff. I think it's cool, man. Yeah. It's a good use of the game.
Yeah.
They don't take it seriously.
No.
They just show up and they're all getting healthy.
That's the important thing. Getting healthy.
You don't
and
seem
what
as
they
enthused about this.
No, right. I'm just thinking, man, if I'm on one of those teams and one of my teammates goes off and gains weight, how pissed I'd be. That's all.
You're too competitive,
you
Andy.
know, it's like, man. And then I couldn't, I'd have to watch my weight and I don't know, man. It's already hard when you play a Sunday league, right? Saturday night, you're not a partier, but Saturday nights you. I got to cut it off.
I got a game tomorrow. Yeah, I get it.
I can't have that last one.
I get it. Well, if anybody's interested, you can go check it out at manvfatsoccer.com. There's the league that's happening in the Colony. They're also doing it at the Blue Sky in Keller, and I'm told they're launching another league at the Blue Sky in Carrollton here in the next few weeks. So if you
joining?
No.
Oh, what are you saying? No. You're so cocky.
No.
How do you know? You're perfect.
I honestly don't know.
Body.
I don't know what qualifies you. First off, I think I'm too old, Andy. I'm way too old for this.
No, because we know our buddy. He's our age, right? No, he's younger.
Oh, no. He's in his 30s.
Okay.
Yeah, he's way younger than you and me. 100%.
You just gave it away.
I did not give it away.
Because it was, you gave it away. All right, man.
Very good. All right.
You could be talking about me.
Hey,
okay.
Hey,
so
EA, you've lost a little weight.
Thank you.
EA, would you consider doing this?
Honestly, that sounds fun because I really think that you need a fun way to lose weight, and sometimes you go play basketball, but I've always thought soccer was a really fun thing to do. So
can I get you on a team?
You know what? Maybe. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, you should do it.
You should totally do it.
But it's not just the one game a week that does this. It's like everything else around it.
Because you're now committing yourself to this thing. Like you said, if I gain like a pound or two, does that affect the stand-ins?
It's that motivation, but it's also following the nutritionist's advice on what your diet should be.
If Andy paid your monthly entry fee, would you do man versus fat?
Yeah, if Andy's paying, for sure.
What are we looking at here?
I think it's $100 a month.
Yeah, no.
Okay, well, back to the buffet.
No, you don't need to lose weight.
You're going to figure something else out, EA. All right, very good. Anything else you want to get into?
No.
You're good.
Well, yes, but, we'll start it, and then you're like, hit the music.
No, what is it?
Nothing.
Okay. All right. Very good.
Forget it.
Well, EA, we'll figure something out. Maybe the station will sponsor you. We'll get you playing man versus fat.
There's so many things.
Have you ever played before?
I've played soccer like when I was a kid in 8th grade, and it was
it
was bad because I broke my arm, and they're like, "Well, you can still play." I was like, "You know what? I'm good. I'm good."
How did you break your arm playing soccer?
Well, I broke my arm in football, but I was still playing soccer outside of school, and they go, you can still play. You can still play soccer with a broken arm. And I was like, no, I'm good.
Your little brother was playing, though, right?
He was, but his asthma kicked in, and so.
Oh. Yeah, I thought you were coaching him.
I wish he doesn't listen to me, so.
All right.
Okay.
If EA was playing
EA,
man versus
I'll support
fat,
you.
I would go to EA's
Yes,
games.
I'll support you. Let's talk about this.
We get P1s to come cheer you on.
Let's talk about this.
We'll figure it out. We'll get it going, for sure, 100%.
I might die in the first game, but we'll see.
Oh.
You'll be great. We'll cheer you on. All right, that does it for another episode. I think we're back next week. You're
looking at me like...
I don't know. Thanks to Mr. Michael Dixon for doing tickers. EA, thank you for producing and helping out today. And Lars also for checking in all the way from Chile, Norway. Tramel, thank you for running the show. And thank you, P1s. We love and adore you. We'll be back next week. Go on out there, get stuck in, and win your 50s.